All right. Welcome, everyone. Great to see you all. Please let me know quickly in the chat whether you can hear me all right, whether the little microphone is working well. So you could just type in very quickly, yes, we're hearing you all right. Please let me know quickly. So I'm not talking in vain here. That'd be very, very helpful. Um, Perfect. Welcome to another live stream here on my channel. For everyone who is new here, I'm going to make a quick round of introduction. But please quickly let me know in the comments, just write in the comments, please let me know if you can hear me all right. That'd be very, very helpful for me. So just a quick yes, we can hear you is very, very welcome. I see that the audio should be doing all right, but if you could just quickly confirm to me that you hear me well, that'd be great. Thank you very much for that. Right, very, very small introduction maybe from my side. My name is Tinnitus Coach Frida. Many of you guys know me here on the channel already, have watched some of the videos. Most of you guys will know that I was born deaf in my left ear, and I've had a hearing aid and a severe high-pitched tinnitus for 15 years now. I've got tinnitus since I was 19. This year is actually the 16th year. So it's actually since I was 19. I'm turning 35 this year. And today I want to get into a few questions that people asked on my channel. Linda, yes, thank you for telling me that you can hear me well. That's fantastic. And yeah, today we have a few things on questions that people asked me. For example, I will tackle one person from the club. Shout out to Michael. Ooh, I nearly destroyed my my lights here, which turned off anyways. Sorry for that. Hope it wasn't too loud. My setup is not always the most amazing and greatest, but what I don't have in setup, I hope to make up in knowledge about tinnitus, and I hope that's more important for you guys than the setup that I have here. Oh, I got a little bit of water on my trackpad. I'm not sure how happy the Apple trackpad is with water. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll put it in a bowl of rice tonight. All right, and we want to get into a couple of the questions, a few things that people have been asking me recently on the YouTube channel. As usual, you can use the chat down here. Moderate helps everyone feel safe. Yes, we help everyone feel safe here in our chat. But you can ask your questions at any time, and I'm trying to answer your questions one by one. And I will also answer the question that generally people have been putting on the YouTube channel, such as the one from Michael: what has helped you the most in order to habituate to your tinnitus? And of course, I want to be talking about that as well. But let me just quickly post into the chat all the resources that I have for you guys, including, if you haven't checked it out yet, I've made a few amendments to the 4-day email course that I have in order to help you guys a little bit more even. So it's just www.habituate.online. I thought that's quite a catchy and easy URL to remember. If I only could also write it properly, then that would be easier. But yeah. All right, so I've started with my personal story a little bit, telling you guys that I was born deaf in the left ear and have severe tinnitus and this closed autoplastic hearing aid now. So closed autoplastic compared to an open autoplastic. Right, if you want to know more about closed and open autoplastics, not very tinnitus related, but it's in general hearing related, what the differences are, because I also have an open autoplastic hearing aid here lying around from when I was younger. But a closed autoplastic hearing aid is when your hearing loss gets advanced and you use a closed autoplastic because it enables the sound, speaker sound from the hearing aid to put more sound into your ear canal, and therefore allows for more amplification for the level of hearing loss that you have. And I've been wearing this hearing aid already for a while. The first hearing aid I got when I was 21 years old. We have the first question. Hello, can you use clonazepam to quiet the tinnitus? Love it. Very, very interesting one. I'm going to answer all the questions one by one. I'm going to answer this one first, and then I'm going to give you a short answer, and then I'm going to give you a long answer. I'm going to give you a short answer, and the short answer is no, you cannot quiet tinnitus with clonazepam. And the long answer I'm going to give you in a little bit because I'm still getting through my introduction. And I'll tell you why anxiety medications will not quiet the tinnitus. So my personal story is that, of course, with the single-sided deafness, you speak only French or German. All right, we will see about how to answer that. Je ne parle pas beaucoup le français, mais je peux parler en allemand si tu veux. All right, I got it. I still got a little bit of French left. I can do English, I can do German, I can do a little bit of French, and I can do Spanish if you guys want. So different strokes for different folks. I can try to give all my stuff for you guys in different languages. But I want to get into, so for you, I'm going to give you that answer later in German a little bit. All right, I'll give you an answer in German. Generally, Linda also asked a question. She has a question from one group session, but you have time now. If you find the biggest challenge home is getting my tea to the background. Outside, I sometimes create in the background, but home is constantly present. What I can do at home to make it clear to my brain and safe here too. Yeah, I will get into that question as well. Very important one, and it has to do with habitual places, right, where we are used to how we react to certain things in the places that we're used to. And of course, tinnitus is often a habitual response. That's why the question after clonazepam is, you don't quiet the tinnitus, you quiet the negative thoughts and feelings that come with tinnitus. So anxiety medication can never quiet the tinnitus, but anxiety medication can make you feel calmer, and therefore you feel less stressed out by tinnitus, right? Because they basically just simply suppress the fight or flight instinct, which absolutely does not quiet tinnitus, because as soon as the anxiety wears off, or the medication wears off, you're probably even more anxious than before, and then you have to take another pill, and that's just an endless vicious cycle of trying to control your anxiety with benzodiazepines or something like that. But I'm going to give you that answer as well in German, and I have a video for you that you can watch. Ich habe ein Video für dich, das du dir anschauen kannst. Das gibt es auch mit deutschen Untertiteln. Einer der letzten Videos mit Rick. Und Rick war addicted to benzodiazepines vor ein paar Jahre lang in den USA. Und der hat das Programm, was wir gemacht haben. Und da erzähle ich dir sehr genau, und er spricht auch über seine Reise, wie er mit der Benzodiazepin-Addiction das gemanagt hat und dann keine mehr genommen hat und dann trotzdem habituated hat. Genau. So what I want to talk to you guys about, though, is 3 core components of habituation. And while I talk about these 3 core components of habituation, I want to say that basically the most gradual and the most important thing that you can do about the tinnitus habituation is your understanding of tinnitus itself, right? So we have to go back to the roots of, like, why do we actually develop bothersome tinnitus? Well, we do develop bothersome tinnitus because, probably at the start we hear the tinnitus at some point. We go to the doctor says there's nothing you can do. It's the year 2025. If the doctor says there's nothing we can do, we say that must be absolutely terrible. Then we Google, we look for everything, and that just like spikes our tinnitus even more, right? Or it spikes at least the attention we are on the tinnitus. Then we get more anxious because now it's like, seems like since we have this sound now, we're always going to feel like this now, right? So that's like this kind of like never-ending negative cycle where we never get out of, right? And then in and of itself, this cycle becomes a problem. So when we talk about quiet and tinnitus with anti-anxiety medication, then what we actually talk about is quieting and calming down the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we have in response to our tinnitus, not the tinnitus itself, right? Because people who are fully habituated and who live with tinnitus, like myself, with very loud tinnitus, very high-pitched loud tinnitus, can hear my tinnitus anywhere, they are fully habituated and they're not bothered even about the loudest of their tinnitus, right? So there's 2 things about this. Tinnitus is a physiological experience of a sound, and another one is the thoughts and feelings that you have in response to your tinnitus, and how that, of course, amplifies your perception of tinnitus as well. Literally, that makes the tinnitus louder. Yeah. Enrique, qué bueno que estés acá. Sí, yo hablo español también. Mi esposa es de Cartagena, Colombia. De hecho, la semana que viene sus padres vienen para acá. mis suegros, entonces ya estamos preparando aquí todo para que ellos estén acá con nosotros. Sí, así es. Yeah, so I just said to Enrique that next week I won't be able to do a live for a while because here in my office, my in-laws will actually come, and my in-laws will sleep here because they're coming from Colombia all the way here to Germany. Is the second time that they are coming here to Europe. Actually, they've only been once to Europe before, in 2018. So I'm very excited about having them here. I love them very much, and I'm very happy that they come to visit me and my wife. And my wife's, of course, also very happy. So they will get this office here. They will sleep in our office space here. So I won't be able to do a live for another couple of weeks, probably end of June. Probably will be a next live session. Not in the club, of course. In the club, we still have a lot of sessions. Enrique, sí, lo siento mucho, pero el programa dentro de My Tinnitus Club, la mayoría de eso todo es en inglés. Sí, tiene razón. Pero pues yo hago también el coaching, ¿no? El coaching, el 1-a-1, el coaching, y eso también lo puedo hacer en español, si te parece. Pero bueno, hablamos de eso más tarde si quieres. Yeah. So I'm just trying to manage all the different languages here. But I actually want to go back for one moment, if you guys indulge me. If I don't know what his name is, how to pronounce it, but I guess it's Sir. Just to go back basically to saying to use clonazepam to quiet the tinnitus. I'm going to say one more sentence in German still for him, okay? Apart from giving him the recommendation that he can watch the video that I did the interview with Rick from our community, who was addicted to benzos for years and then tapered off, and the anxiety got worse, and finally he did our program, and he feels like his tinnitus is not an issue anymore. He goes on holiday, does what he needs to be doing. He loves his life again, and I think that's a beautiful story. So if you guys haven't watched that, it's on my channel. You can watch it absolutely for free, and it's worth the half an hour. And I'm very thankful for me having the patience to sit down and edit and do all these videos, but also Rick for sitting down with me and talking about his experience, because, right, you unfortunately don't see that often enough. People really honestly sharing that they have gotten better and all the steps they have been using, and it's not a miracle cure. It's a longer term process, but it's absolutely possible. And people come out and habituate and go from bothersome to completely non-bothersome tinnitus, to having tinnitus without really taking any care of it. But one more sentence about the clonazepam. Also Clonazepam ist ja auch ein Anti-Angst-Medikament, und was es macht, ist einfach nur dein Fight-or-Flight-Mechanismus, ja, also den Flucht- oder Angstreflex einfach zu blockieren. Und dein Flucht- und Angstreflex ist ja eine Antwort auf den Tinnitus. Ja, der Tinnitus ist physiologisch einfach ein Sound, der bei 20-30% der Menschen vorkommt. Und Clonazepam macht einfach nur eins: es blockiert deine Angstreaktion auf den Sound. Aber das macht ja überhaupt nichts besser, sondern diese Angstreaktion wird dann, wenn dann, eher noch schlimmer, weil jedes Mal, wenn du eine nimmst, wird der Effekt ein bisschen geringer vom Clonazepam, und dann irgendwann wird es immer mehr. Ja? Und es geht einfach eher darum, dein Gehirn dahin zu trainieren, dass es merkt, es muss nicht diese Angstreaktion auf den Tinnitus haben. Ja? Und wenn du die Angstreaktion so auf den Tinnitus nicht mehr hast, dann lernt dein Gehirn langsam, dass es ja gar nicht so schlimm ist. Auch wenn der Sound da ist, dann passt auch nicht mehr so viel drauf auf, und dann ist das alles besser. Und das ist der gute Weg, um dein Tinnitus wieder leiser zu bekommen, ohne irgendwelche Medikamente zu nehmen. Ja, all right. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Linda. I still find the biggest challenge at home getting my tea to the background. Yeah, she said outside she experienced it to the background, but at home it's constantly present. What can I do at home to make clear that my brain is safe here too? Yes, you're welcome. Absolutely, sehr gerne. To make sure that you're safe in there too. I don't think it's so much that you are safe in there too. It's more like that, that connection that you have with being at home, with this compulsive and obsessive checking, and that, relationship with anxiety and feelings that you have towards your tinnitus when you come home. And of course, when you're outside, there are a lot more stimuli that you can focus on, apart your potentially. But of course, it's more important to be focusing on, like, not getting hit by a car or something like that when you walk outside. So it's a lot easier to, generally just not focus on your tinnitus. It is potentially also easy to do at home, but it's harder. Why is it like that? Because at home, there's a lot less sound volume in the background, etc. So it appears to be harder, but it's also part of a conditioned response, meaning that, of course, when you are at home, you have learned that at home, your tinnitus tends to be more bothersome. So you tend to have more feelings of frustrations, anxiety, and so on and so forth towards your tinnitus when you are at home. That doesn't mean that your tinnitus is worse at home. It just means that you pay more attention to your tinnitus when you are at home because you have done so habitually. And my idea would be, and this is always what I say, we don't get rid of paying attention to tinnitus in saying, I don't want to pay attention to it anymore, right? We do do that through the back door, basically, I say, like, it's not a sexual reference. And we do get it by basically saying, like, it's okay for me to think and check about my tinnitus, but I can, be okay with that. I don't need to do anything about constantly monitoring it. Because what you really do is when you have it in the foreground all the time, you have these like checkings and all of that. What you do, it's kind of a control mechanism. You want to control it, and outside you maybe have less compulsion to control it. So to work with your obsession and your compulsion to control it, it's a good idea to basically say, like, oh, I'm noticing my tinnitus. Interesting. All right, that's okay. And then to go on and doing whatever you need to be doing right now. And in the long run, you can teach your brain that even being at home, you can develop a new relationship with your tinnitus. Because when you say, to make it clear to my brain that it is safe, then you can make it clear to your brain that it is safe to experience the thoughts and feelings in relationship to your tinnitus. When you're outside, you have less thoughts and feelings in relationship to your tinnitus because you're more distracted. At home, you have more of them, which basically only means that you can practice more your acceptance and commitment tools, your diffusion, your tame exercises, etc., to really learn that your thoughts and feelings about your tinnitus, even at home, they are okay. And you can engage and do in whatever you need to be doing. Because, and this is the mismatch for a lot of people. A lot of you will say, like, oh, but that's bullshit. I'm feeling bad about my tinnitus all the time. So how can I just accept and acknowledge my thoughts and feelings? Well, the fundamental principle and belief of acceptance and commitment therapy is not that we need to get rid of tinnitus, right? We don't really need to completely rid of tinnitus in order to habituate and not care of tinnitus anymore. We need our brain to learn that it's okay to have tinnitus and to not constantly need to be focusing on it and obsessing over it, right? And yes, okay, it's a feeling of safety, but where does the feeling of safety come from? The feeling of safety first comes from acknowledging that it's not a problem, that you're having these thoughts and feelings in order to, to be doing whatever you want to be doing in your home. And it's okay if you're having an anxious moment. It's okay if you're having a difficult moment. That's all natural. It's part of a process of habituation. Habituation is a long-term process. And to decouple, right? To say, for example, when someone goes on holiday, they say, holy cow, I was on holiday and I didn't even hear my tinnitus once. Well, yeah, it's because you're out of your habitual environment. And in our habitual environment, we tend to respond the same ways to things again. So we need to retrain our brain to respond differently in that case, right? So to respond differently in that case would mean to say, well, I choose not to struggle with the thoughts and emotions that I have about my tinnitus, but to say, hey, it's quite normal that I have these thoughts and emotions when I am at home, but I choose to say, oh, that's okay to have this. It's not that big of a deal. I'm allowed to feel this way right now, but I can also do X, Y, Z. I can make myself a tea. I can sit down. I can read a book. I can watch some TV. I can do some housework. I can do whatever I need to be doing. And my tinnitus can simply be there. It's no problem. So you only break that obsession and that compulsion by gentle allowance. And that slowly teaches your brain that it is safe to experience what you experience, right? Outside, it's basically a little bit like sound therapy, right? You're outside, it's easier to be distracted. Well, not for me, like I hear my tinnitus over everything. But outside is a little bit like sound therapy in and of itself. So I hope that this makes sense for you, Linda. I'm happy to dive into it more in the club tomorrow, because I have another one or two ideas about the resources that I could share and tell you that you could be using. But let's get on with the next question. Okay, he's been having surgery on his ears 3 times. He told me I should take 5 drops in the evening for 4 months, and I think it's not good, not bad, not good. No, I'm not saying it's not good. If clonazepam is given to you, no, okay. So I wanted to respond in German, but I am first responding in English. No, I mean clonazepam. When, for example, people can't sleep and they have very difficult sleeping patterns because of tinnitus as well, some of these medications, of course, can help to facilitate basic sleep. And that's absolutely okay to take that for a while. But in the long run, our brain needs and wants to learn that sleep is absolutely possible without any problems, right? So we don't have the need to do anything, to take any medication, to do any action in order to get sound and proper sleep, right? So therefore, in a longer term, it could be a negative reinforcing thing to basically take medication in order to try to get to sleep, but not in the short term. And I will also say that in German still, yeah. So, I mean, so ich glaube, ich sage nicht, dass es nicht gut ist, dass du Clonazepam nimmst. Ich sage nur, dass das nicht dein Tinnitus, du kannst ja nicht du willst ja nicht dein ganzes Leben lang Clonazepam nehmen, sondern Clonazepam ist jetzt wahrscheinlich dann abends, wenn du es abends nimmst, dafür da, dass du etwas besser schlafen kannst und nicht mehr wegen des Tinnitus so gereizt und aufgeregt bist. Aber im Long Run, der Tinnitus bleibt ja wahrscheinlich, ne? Auch mit der Autosklerose kann der Tinnitus trotzdem bleiben. Autosklerose ist ja behandelbar mit deinen Operationen auch, aber auch der Tinnitus kann auch trotzdem bleiben. Und die Sache ist du willst ja trotzdem lernen, dass es absolut natürlich und normal ist, dass du nicht diese krasse Reaktion auf den Tinnitus haben musst und trotzdem normal schlafen kannst. Ja, das ist ja das Wichtige. Und dass du nicht auf diese Medikation angewiesen bist, um zu merken, dass du sicher bist und einfach dich hinlegen kannst und ausruhen kannst und irgendwann schlafen kannst, obwohl du Tinnitus hast. Schau mal, bin links taub, habe rechts sehr lauten Tinnitus, ich schlafe jede Nacht, schlafe sogar manchmal mit Earplug in meinem einen Ohr, weil ich lieber nur meinen Tinnitus höre und nichts anderes, als irgendwie die Nachbarn rumtrampeln. Ja? Also es ist sehr, sehr wichtig, dass du merkst, für den Short Term ist es kein Problem, aber es wird nicht den Tinnitus wegmachen. Es hilft dir nur, deine Angst und sowas wegzumachen und etwas müder zu sein, besser schlafen zu können. Ja. So yeah, autosclerosis is a big topic. I know that many people have that. It's a condition where basically the little muscles and the little bones inside the inner ear canal get tight and strengthened, and then we start to lose our hearing ability a little bit by bit. But it's actually, you can do something about it. And that person said they had surgery 3 times already. It's obviously sometimes, unfortunately, progressive. So of course, sometimes when it builds up again, you need to do another surgery. But yeah, I think that was relevant to share that information on benzos and sleep. In short term, it's absolutely okay. You know, we all need some sleep. But in the long term, you want your brain to learn that you can absolutely sleep safe and sound without the presence or without needing any kind of medication, right? So your brain learns that it's safe, and it is safe also for you to sleep with tinnitus, and it's absolutely possible. And then you become conditioned to sleeping with tinnitus without being bothered by it. And that's a very, very cool place to be in, let me say. And I like my sleep, right? And I don't care about my tinnitus. Yeah, but I wanted to get into one more question. Michael from the Tinnitus Club, also from Germany, asked me, what did you do in order to habituate? And I shared my story at the start of this event already a little bit, that I was born deaf in this one ear, and that I had this hearing aid and severe high-pitched tinnitus for 16 years this year, turning 35 this year. And so what happened for me is at that time, basically, there wasn't really anything, right? I remember that I did already watch the first ASMR videos on YouTube when I was really tired and, upset and frustrated throughout the day. I remember that I did just put my headphone very close to my ear and listen to some ASMR role play or something like that. And that helped to calm me down. But in fact, it calmed my body and my brain, right? It didn't really do anything about my tinnitus. And that's where, I had to start or learn to start by myself, that, well, it's all about my reaction towards tinnitus. And it's not really in, having or not having tinnitus, but how my nervous system reacts to tinnitus. We all say, oh yeah, but it's so annoying to have tinnitus. Yeah. But what's annoying is to be constantly in fight or flight, right? And you say, yeah, but I'm used to silence. I'm like, no, you're not used to silence. There's sounds everywhere. Even right now, there's sounds outside that I can hear. Even like my hearing is not great anymore. There's constantly sound from the kitchen, people passing by outside. There's constantly sound. So how can you say that I was used to silence and that's why I'm so annoyed about my tinnitus? It's not true. Silence is a concept that you think that only in the absence of any kind of internal noise will you be in peace. And you neglect the fact that you can be completely in peace while having tinnitus. I regularly meditate on this very chair here. I like this chair. It's my little meditation chair. And I like to meditate on that chair, right? And my tinnitus is fully present, blasting away, but I'm present and I feel like I'm in silence and I'm relaxing, feeling good and being very, very content without full silence needing to be there. So it's more of a concept, right? And that's something that I only grasp over time, and it's obviously a very painful time for me, because Michael asked me what that journey was like for me, and honestly, at the time, especially when it got worse, at the start, first time I had it when I was 19, it wasn't as bad. Only when 5 years later it got so much worse and louder because I went to a loud concert in Amsterdam and I drank way too many beers and my earplug fell out, and I just danced in front of the speaker very stupidly, and then 3 days later it got insanely loud, and that's what it is right now. Still to this day, same volume, and I had to deal a lot more with a lot of things back then. I was writing my bachelor paper. My sister's going through a very, very difficult period of time in her life as well, with schizophrenia and stuff like that. And yeah, I was just in a very, very difficult place. And I remember that when I was on a student trip to Istanbul, because we went on a conference. I studied in the Netherlands, in Maastricht. And I was on a student conference in Istanbul, and we had to present some stuff. And I remember like not being able to like properly relax and sleep at night, and during the day just trying to get on with my life somehow. But it was not easy, and there wasn't really much around. So for me, I think the biggest thing that I felt was like time, right? Time passing and me learning that I can do, and that I did not stop doing anything differently because of my tinnitus, right? So I was lucky enough that there was a very moving time, a lot of things happening, basically being in university, doing all these study trips and stuff like that. And I just didn't see myself not going there, not doing it. I didn't feel like that was an option. So I did it anyways. And I think that also helped because I learned, like, although I was really struggling with my tinnitus and, sometimes the odd not so good nights of sleep, I learned that I can do anything I want to despite the presence of my tinnitus. And I think that was quite powerful. And that was like the first time I found out sort of like of value-based living, about my tinnitus. And yeah, I think that was one of the really, really important parts for me, as a whole. But yeah, I know that there is a lot of stuff as well, right? My ENT doctor, who was quite comforting, and the audiologist as well that I went to, the ENT doctor said to me, this is, I mean, not great. You should be protecting your hearing a little bit more, but it's not a death sentence either, right? Like, it's still sort of like okay, and you'll get along with it. And like my audiologist, she was a real sweetheart, and she was really nice. She talked to me like a lot of people have this and stuff like that. So she helped put things more in context. And while I was so busy, it was a little bit easier for me maybe at the time. And yeah, I must say, for me, it was really like a long-term time process. But honestly, what I think is that we can never really avoid that process, and it is a long-term process, and it stays one. Even now that I'm doing all the coachings and I help people with acceptance and commitment therapy, help the brain change the way it experiences tinnitus, but it is still something that takes time. Maybe not as long as it did for me. Like for me, I think I was like minimum 9 months to a year in quite a difficult place. And I would say we can reduce that quite time frame quite a lot from when people start using these tools and start practicing acceptance and commitment therapy, being in a place where they feel safe with the community, doing the coaching, getting into understanding their emotional response to tinnitus, etc. Like, being one of the most core components is understanding and having some self-efficacy, right? Learning that you are in the driver's seat and that you can respond to tinnitus in a more favorable way, so that your brain learns it's actually not such a bad thing to be dealing with tinnitus. The same way that, I mean, you could also get stuck with the sound of your heart beating, or the sound of your breath. You could also be compulsive about that. But you don't have to be, because that's absolutely the same normal thing, like tinnitus as well, as a natural, normal response. Not even something's wrong with you. It's just a natural thing that happens in 20 to 30% of human beings. Right. Frida, you explained that you have a high pitch. You hear it, no longer bothers you, but surely there's a difference between hearing it and listening to it. That's where habituation lies. Yes, 100%. So when I'm focusing on what I'm saying right now, and I'm paying attention fully to you, to reading the question, then I do not actively hear my tinnitus. So that is like silence for me because I have no emotional reaction. I do not actively hear it. But when I talk about it and I think about it, because you just asked that question, do you hear it? Then yes, of course, like there is a loud ringing in my ear. And especially when I take my hearing aid out, it's 60% louder because now my voice, of course, appears a lot. No, 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 not at all. Sorry. No, I can do this all day long and not be bothered about my tinnitus. That's the amazing misconception. It's not a bad thing that I hear my tinnitus. That's the misconception that we all need to work on. It's not a bad thing for me. Even though I take my hearing aid out now, my tinnitus gets a lot louder, right? Because my hearing aid amplifies also what I say, so therefore it puts more hearing in my ear. My left ear is deaf, right? So this is a misconception to say that, oh, sorry, I'm sorry for alerting you of your tinnitus, that you pay more attention to it. That's not the way it works. I don't mind. I can sit here and pay attention to my tinnitus all day, I promise you, and have zero amount of reaction to it. I don't mind it. Wouldn't mind it 1 second. I also told many of you already how I deal with when I get severe spikes and I can't hear anything technically anymore. I sit down, I take my play seat, I have this play seat here, I connect it to my PlayStation, and I play some Gran Turismo or Formula One, which is something that I really like to do. And that brings me a lot of joy. So if my tinnitus is really loud and I have a spike that I can't hear anything else and I have to cancel a meeting because of that, I cancel the meeting and it gives me the opportunity to play PlayStation. Amazing. Thank you. So, and this is not a master thing. I'm not crazy. I'm not different. My brain is no different than you. But it is that my brain has years and years and years of experience of knowing that tinnitus is nothing to be worried about. And that in my life, I can do everything I want to do in my life, including even if my hearing gets so bad that I have to get a cochlear implant, then I get a cochlear implant. Oh, shite, we're running overtime, 5:30. Yeah, so it's really, really important. Um, um, I mean, yes, of course, I did have some anxiety as well, especially the anxiety and the guilt, of like, oh, mate, I've made my tinnitus worse through my behavior and stuff like that. Stuff that everyone experiences together with tinnitus. Every single one of us, trust me, 100%. Everyone experiences that. Absolutely normal. So, of course, I experienced all of that. And we should also try to stop saying, like, is tinnitus more difficult because this, of this, of this, of this? No, it's not. Tinnitus is it's not difficult. Our relationship and the way our nervous system starts to conditionally respond to tinnitus, that becomes a difficult thing, not tinnitus itself. And it is difficult for every single one, but differently for different people, right? That's absolutely normal. That for some people, sometimes it's louder, for some people, sometimes it's more quiet. Here, there's another question from Sir, whether it's normal that the tinnitus comes louder sometimes. Yes, fluctuations are normal, especially when you're not habituated. Then, of course, your anxiety reaction, or not even anxiety, but your annoyance, any of these things is an absolutely normal thing that drives you towards perceiving your tinnitus louder, right? So literally, the more we struggle with tinnitus, the more louder tinnitus seems. Unfortunately, that's a vicious cycle. So when the brain learns that it's safe to be tuning into it, everything that we teach in the community, etc., in the program that I do, teaching you that your brain has nothing to fear from tinnitus, and that's when it goes into the background. I sincerely believe that up to 80% of this volume control can be your emotional reaction, not the physiological experience of the tinnitus. Up to 80% is how we respond and how our brain is conditioned towards the tinnitus. Right, so has had that question. I want to answer in German for a second. He said, is it normal that das manchmal lauter kommt? Ja, ist ganz normal. Es ist auch, ich habe es gerade erklärt auf Englisch, es ist ganz normal, dass 80% des Tinnitus, der Lautstärke, ist oft unsere Emotionen auf den Tinnitus. Ja? Das heißt, je mehr emotional wir reagieren auf den Tinnitus, desto mehr suchen wir nach ihm, desto lauter kommt er uns vor. Ja? Und je lauter er uns vorkommt mit diesem Teufelskreis, desto mehr Emotionen haben wir. Ne? Das heißt, es ist also was ganz Normales. Aber das Problem ist nicht, dass der Tinnitus lauter ist, sondern dass wir diese Reaktion haben. Weil der Tinnitus überhaupt ist ja was ganz Normales, was 20-30% der Bevölkerung haben. Ja, und die Lautstärke ist ja was Subjektives. Und die ist oftmals wirklich damit beeinflusst, wie wir uns dem Tinnitus gegenüber verhalten. Und dass unser Gehirn lernt, dass Tinnitus nichts Gefährliches ist. Dann geht auch die Lautstärke runter. Das heißt nämlich, es gibt nämlich einen physiologischen Grund, Hörverlust, Autoclerosis, andere Dinge, warum wir Tinnitus so hören und warum auch manchmal lauter ist. Und dann gibt es die Anxiety und so weiter, ja, und die Angst und die Annoyance und ja, diese ganze Gefühlsseite. Und die Gefühlsseite, in meinen Augen, ich glaube, dass es bis 80% ausmacht, wie laut man den Tinnitus hört. Yeah, Massimo, no worries that you're late. Ciao, Massimo. Good to see you. But yeah, I mean, the recording, of course, is live immediately after on this channel, so you guys can, of course, watch it all. I've also published already the video that I'm releasing on Friday. Maybe some of you have noticed that I'm now publishing the weekly videos already on Wednesday. So they're ready, fully edited on Wednesday and accessible for the channel members. So for those of you guys who choose to support my YouTube channel and to support me living in this 3-bedroom apartment and to support my in-laws coming here and staying with us, those people get, as a thank you, you get all the videos earlier, and you get the digital tinnitus relief kit and stuff like that earlier. So for $9.99, if you want to support me, I think we have 4 people in total supporting me at the moment per month. That's $40 a month here on YouTube, which is, we could improve on that, but it's something that I want to be doing in the future. So every new member helps, and it's really supported. And for every new member, and as a gratitude, I also offer all of these videos that come out every month. Yeah. And Massimo, yeah, you can share your worst situation with tinnitus, and I can give myself a 3 to 4 minute answer if that's okay, because I only wanted to do half an hour of live stream, and now we're doing 40 minutes. But because I have to go, and this is actually a very Italian thing, I have to go and make a pizza because I promised my neighbors I'd make a pizza, and I have the dough in the fridge already fermenting for a couple of days. So I need to go and prepare my dough now in order to make the pizza. But please share your worst situation. I'll give you my take on it. And that's going to be the last question for today, guys, okay? Right. I hope that's all right with you. And for everyone who's coming late, you'll be able to watch the recording. You'll be able to already watch the video that's coming out on Friday. The one that is coming out on Friday is a mindset shift to tinnitus. I think that's one that we've talked a lot about this week. Other than that, go to habituate.online while Massimo is typing in his questions, what his worst experience with tinnitus was, and I'm giving him my take on that. You can go to habituate.online or join us directly inside my Tinnitus Club for the 12 weeks course, for all these daily resources, for all our weekly coaching sessions and events. Tomorrow we have mindfulness, the second event of mindfulness, all of these monthly topic resources where you have access to all of these things that we've done over the last couple of years, tons of resources, the 2-day course that I did, 7 hours of video training material, and of course, the access to daily success stories, amazing people who share how they've been getting better with their tinnitus. Hannah says dancing and singing has helped her a lot. So yeah, if that's something you like, then you can go to www.mytinnitus.club to join us there. We'd love to have you. Looking forward to having you and helping you and supporting you on your habituation journey. Let's see if Massimo is done with his writing his question. Oh, end the stream. No, not yet. Wait, sharing, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, the worst day of the week when tinnitus is high happens when I go to work. I face a long journey with train and underground. Seems something somatic. Thanks. There's also something called reactive tinnitus, where our tinnitus actually reacts to sounds, right? So the more sounds there are around, the more tinnitus will react. And that's absolutely quite normal, especially at the start, because tinnitus and the auditory cortex in the brain, the part of the brain that is tasked with processing the sound that comes from the signal in the ear, right? The ear, the little hair cells, they flow in water, right? That's what they do. They flow in water, in the fluid, and they move, and then they transmit the sound pressure, the air pressure, they move, and the sound pressure gets translated through the movement into an electrical signal, and processed by your auditory cortex in your brain, and that's where sound happens, right? The same way that seeing doesn't happen in your eyes. Your eyes only take the light, the retina takes the light, and your brain puts together a picture of what you see, of your surroundings, right? That's how seeing works. Hearing works a bit different. Sound pressure arrives at the eardrum, makes these little hair cells move, and then it translates it into an electrical signal. So I think not somatic, because somatic would be if you have neck and back issues. I think it might be more a case of reactive tinnitus, Massimo. And reactive tinnitus is something normal, especially in the start or when we have a spike or an increase. It's a little bit linked sometimes for people also have hyperacusis, loud sound sensitivity. Sorry for that, my voice is getting dry. It's actually here my favorite football club mug. We're playing a very important game on Saturday. We're playing Frankfurt for Champions League. Maybe my club, Freiburg, is playing in the Champions League next year. It would be amazing. Yeah, so Massimo, I think it's quite normal that the sound fluctuates, especially at the start when you just had a spike, that it does so together with more sound exposure. But that in and of itself will also go. So what you can do, for example, is when environments are really very, very, very noisy, really very noisy, just protect your hearing a little bit. No overprotection, right? Because that will make your hyperacusis worse, but just a little bit, right? And I think that's a good thing for you to do. And then again, also that is also a way of how you respond afterwards, right? So if it has been loud in the subway and then you already know it's going to get louder afterwards, then you have a self-fulfilling prophecy that your attention on tinnitus will be more, therefore it will be louder, you will have more anxiety. And then because you already know that happens when you travel to work, etc., then that always repeats, right? Yeah. And Sir, ich würde gerne noch mehr machen, aber ich muss jetzt los, weil wir haben Gäste heute Abend und ich will Pizza für alle backen. Ich habe ein paar Videos auf meinem Channel auch mit deutschen Untertiteln, warum Soundtherapie kein Long-Term-Fix für Tinnitus ist, wieder nur eine Short-Term-Crutch, weil es genau das Gleiche ist wie ein Anti-Anxiety-Medication. Es hilft dir dabei, nicht die Gefühle zu haben, die du hast gegenüber dem Tinnitus und die auszublenden, aber es hilft dir nicht, im Long-Term zu lernen, dass der Tinnitus nicht gefährlich ist und dass dein Gehirn sich darauf trainieren kann. Ja. Yeah, Massimo, absolutely happy for that. Again, the recording is on the channel in a couple of minutes, I think, usually. Thank you for checking out www.habituate.online. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for being here. I hope that it was useful for you. And as usual, you can, of course, check out www.mytinnitus.club. All the people who are inside the club get a 10% discount on the coaching sessions as well. So if you want to do one-on-one coaching, if you join the club, you get 10% discount on the one-on-one coaching as well. And yeah, I hope, as usual, it's been useful for you guys. On Friday, my latest video releases on tinnitus and the mindset. I hope that you enjoy that one as well. Make sure to also check out the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Honestly, I'm grateful for being able to do what I do. It's a lot of work as a solopreneur, creating a podcast, a YouTube channel, a community, doing coaching, all of these things. But I'm grateful because I can feel like I can really do an impact for all of you guys. And I'm grateful that you guys value that as well. And I would love to support and help you in the best way possible to go from bothersome to non-bothersome tinnitus. Big hugs. I can only hug you from very far away. Giving you all a hug, guys. All right. Giving you a hug. All right. And feel the hug right now. I'm hugging you guys. You're going to get better. And we're here for you. All right. See you all in the next one, guys. All right. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.